Hey young friends, Dr. Bill here. I'm back with another installment in our series on big names in the Bible. We started talking about Jesus several weeks ago, and the last time we met we talked about how Jesus called his first disciples, those followers that he wanted to have around him, people who would be his friends and people who would learn to do what Jesus himself did. Now, for the next several weeks, we're going to talk about the things that Jesus did. And then eventually we'll shift our focus to the things that Jesus said and taught. But as we begin today talking about what Jesus did, the first thing I want to emphasize is that Jesus healed people. He made them well. All four of our Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, contain stories about Jesus healing people. Apparently, that was very much at the heart of his ministry. That was a centerpiece of much of his work. And so the Gospels tell us that Jesus healed people, but they also stress that Jesus healed people in a variety of ways. For example, there's a story about Jesus healing Peter's mother-in-law. She had a fever. And Jesus, when he came to her house, he didn't say a word. He simply touched her, grasped her by the hand, and raised her up, and the fever left her. Likewise, in the Gospel of Mark, Jesus healed a person who had leprosy, a skin disease. And Jesus healed this man by doing something really, really extraordinary. Jesus reached out and touched this man, and as a result, he was healed of his leprosy. Jesus healed by touching people. And then again, sometimes Jesus healed people by using and employing some very unusual methods. John, for example, tells us about Jesus healing a man who was blind. Jesus gathered up some dirt in his hand, and he spit on it, and he made this kind of gooey paste, and he smeared it across the blind man's eyes. And he said, "Why don't you go and wash that off?" And when the man did, when he washed off that paste, well, he could see. And then the Gospels tell us that Jesus didn't always have to be present for people to be healed. There's a story about a woman who came to see Jesus because her daughter was very, very ill. And she begged Jesus to heal her daughter. And apparently Jesus was a little reluctant to do so. We don't know exactly the reasons why, but she was so persistent. She was so wanting Jesus to do something that finally he gave in and he said, "Look, you just go back home. Your daughter is okay." And the woman got up and she left and she went back home, and indeed her daughter was healed. Her daughter didn't have to be present for Jesus to heal her. That's pretty impressive. And then sometimes Jesus healed people without him even doing anything. The Gospels tell us a story about a woman who had a problem where she was bleeding internally. She had had this problem for a very, very long time. She had seen all kinds of doctors. She had tried every kind of cure that she could to try to be well, but nothing worked. And so the Gospels tell us that this woman decided, I've heard about Jesus. I've heard that he has this power. And so all I have to do is just slip in behind him, and all I have to do is reach out and touch the hem of his garment, and I'll be made well. And the Gospels tell us that this woman worked her way up through this throng of people who were surrounding Jesus, and she finally got close enough where she could stretch out her hand and touch the hem of his garment. And when she did that, she was immediately healed. The Gospels tell us that Jesus suddenly recognized in that moment that power had gone out from him, and he had turned and had a conversation with this woman. The amazing thing, however, is that Jesus didn't have to do anything in that healing. The woman took the initiative. She reached out, touched his garment, and the power came from Jesus, and she was healed. So Jesus healed people in a variety of ways. Now, that's important for us. The truth is, Jesus still heals people. Sometimes he does that by working through the doctors and nurses we see whenever we're sick. And Jesus uses those people to help make us well. And then sometimes Jesus heals because we simply pray for somebody. We pray for somebody to be made well. And even against all odds, and when there apparently seems to be no hope, well, healing comes. Now, what this means for us is that Jesus still is in the healing business. Yes, Jesus can heal some of our illnesses and some of the diseases that affect us. But Jesus can also heal us on the inside, giving us peace when we're in turmoil, providing strength when we feel ourselves weak, giving us courage when we're afraid. All of those things are signs that Jesus works to heal our lives wherever and however they are broken. So for today's lesson, I simply want you to remember that Jesus was a healer. That's one of the most important things he did. And so I hope and pray that you'll take time to go back in the New Testament and read some stories where Jesus healed people. I think you'll like what you find there. As always, if you want to talk about this further, you can give me a call, send me an email, send me a text. I'll be glad to talk with you, meet with you, however you want to do that. In the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.